Hi, crazy girl. Watch out, watch out. Come on. Good girl. Hi, Bubby. Hi, Bubs. Here's a flip flop. Hi. Alright, guys. I think it's time to get back to some more structured type content. No more of these random walks, random ramblings. I have things I want to do, and I want to start doing them again. So, the last couple of days, I've been doing a fair bit of research on YouTube, poking around Google, whatever I could find about blacksmithing. Something that's always kind of interested me. Out of high school, I worked as a welder for a couple of years, so I've got a little bit of experience with working with hot metal anyway. I mean, they're very different. Blacksmithing is the very, very early predecessor of welding, forge welding. So it's a very interesting trade and a really cool skill to have, I think. Potentially a very useful skill if you're into the prepping community or bushcraft, that sort of thing. I could make my own bushcraft tools, axes, draw knife, and adze, everything you need. I can't even think of the name of half the tools right now. So, to do this properly, I want to, at least starting off, I don't really plan on buying any high-end tool steels. I want to play with making blades and stuff, but from things I can salvage around here for free, or things I can get scrap very cheap, offcuts. We'll see. Step one, anyways, if we're going to do this right and try and do as much of it as we can ourselves, is fuel. So I know some people forge with hardwood. It can be done. I would like to go a step further. If we're going to start somewhere, I want to start with a strong foundation, so that's going to be a good source of charcoal. Lucky for me, I have access to this shop and this property, and there is lots of hardwood just sitting around the bush. We've got cut stuff here that's ready to be split, but it's pouring rain today, and I think my best option for getting this drum full of sizable wood quickly is probably going to be go out and cut some dead standing elm. It's usually pretty solid, doesn't tend to rot, good, relatively hardwood, and see what we get for charcoal out of that. Basically what you want to do is burn the gases out of the wood, char the wood, and deprive it of oxygen. So there's a few phases to this process. The first phase is the water boiling out of the wood. The second phase is the burning off of the methane and tar and those other chemicals. I can't remember the exact list of them. Pretty sure it's on my printout. Getting all that out of the wood, and this all kind of happens at different temperature ranges. The way I understand it, the higher the temperature is, the more pure your charcoal is, the better quality charcoal you're going to get. However, you're going to get less yield per batch. It'll be lighter, it'll be less dense, but it will be higher quality and it will burn hotter. So, my plan here is, this is an old fuel container. Aspen fuel is an alkaline-based fuel. This is from a small engine shop locally that is about the right size I want to work with. I don't know what the volume of this is exactly, but it's about the right size that I wanted for the burner here, which is the first problem we run into. That's doing this right is going to be the long way for sure. It's going to take a lot of time, especially using the trial and error method. Basically what I'm doing is I took, everything I saw on YouTube, all the things that I've read and seen the last couple of days, come up with my own idea of how I want to do it, and we're just going to kind of combine other people's methods with some trial and error and my own ideas and see what we come up with. So my plan is to cut this along this first rib here. It's a little bit flared out, so I think if I cut in the right spot on this rib, all I'll have to do is run around the edge of it with a hammer and roll that edge out a little bit, and then this will become my lid. And we want this to be as airtight as possible, so hopefully you're going to get a nice round, as much as possible, a nice round, tight fit. And then I got a few sheet metal screws, self-tappers. I'm going to put 3 or 4 of those in just to hold the lid on through the heating process, because it's probably going to change shape a little bit and I don't want it to fall off and this all be for naught. The other great thing about this drum is it's got this thread-on caps in the top. So I'm thinking this is probably a little big. I'm going to use this to burn all the fuel, whatever vapors and fuel left out of here before I start cutting. And I'm going to pop this little cap off. It's the same thing, it's just a thread cap. I'll tighten this one, leave this open while we're burning, and then once the methane and it's a point where the gases are escaping from there and it's going to be burning the methane, once that process is over, then you want to seal the drum off completely, shut the burn off, and let it cool down on its own, and then you come back the next day. As long as there's been no oxygen getting to the wood, it should have stopped burning, it won't turn to ash, and you should have lumped charcoal. I think I explained that as I intended to. If not, I'll probably explain it 3 more times through the course of making this video, so don't worry. Anyways, first step is going to pop this other cap off, and we're going to burn the gases off the inside of here. And as I was saying, my old man, luckily like me, also likes to incinerate stuff when he's got scrap wood or cardboard around, and he uses old oil drums from houses as a burner. Now the last one had a hole in the front of it that you could easily fit a 45-gallon drum into. This one out here, I didn't realize it, but he's cut it only about 10 inches wide, the length of it, and this barrel isn't going to fit. So that's my first issue. I'm going to have to figure out either, I guess, if I can cut a hole in that one or some other way to heat this up. We might just have to do a bonfire, which is really not going to be ideal. Anyways, it's enough blabbering. We'll light this on fire and then get to cutting. Time to do stuff. We'll just stick with the method I started with. How about that? How about that, you crazy Dutch bastard? Alright, now the dangerous part, or the uneventful part. Let's see what happens. Woo! Yep, there's fuel in there. Cool. I'm assuming that's what that means. Holy shit! Woo, she did it again. That's an interesting little phenomenon happening there. I was watching a video by Black Bear Forge. I highly recommend you go check it out. I'll link it in the description. But he talks about accepting risk in daily life, in your career, and what individual people find as acceptable risk in their work. This is a perfect example of that. This risk here, I accept it, I'm prepared for it, I find it manageable. Some people, this might not be the right method for you, and that's fine. I'm not telling anybody this is the way to do it, but this is how I'm doing it. I think it's going to work, eventually. This is just non-stop fun, man. Yeah, like I can hear that sizzling and fuel in the bottom. So that tells me that I'm going to have to find another method here. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm going to shut the camera off and think here. We're definitely not breaking any speed records today. It's got to be 20 minutes later. The fire went out. Get out of there. Indy, no. Fire went out, so I just spent about 20 minutes rebuilding it again because everything's just too friggin' wet. So I think I got it going now. I'm about to throw that on and we'll go start cutting. But like, just typical for anything like this. It's never as easy as it looks, or you think it's going to be, or it seems on YouTube. I've been out here for like 2 hours and I haven't even cut a hole in anything yet. So propane forge is starting to sound pretty good. But I think once we get some stuff established here, this process is going to become a lot easier. And this is just a terrible day to be out trying to burn shit. Everything is as wet as it can possibly get. Everywhere around me right now, there's giant puddles. Snow. All this dead branches on these hemlock are wet. Like, there's not a dry piece of anything out here. I digress. Let's get this barrel burning.
leave that guy there like that. Might even try and get it right on the fire. Hey, move. Come on, get out of here. There we go. Don't want to be standing in front of that, that's for sure. Just gonna let that burn for a while.
All right, so I think I've figured out how we're going to heat that other barrel and char the wood. I'm gonna put the little barrel in the big barrel here. We'll have the fire in this. We'll just put it up here, stood on end. I'll cut a few holes in the bottom so it can draw some air. We'll put it on blocks right out here, and we'll do it right in front of the shop. All right. Holes. We got something done. Progress. They're pretty close to 90 degrees from each other. I think that should be enough air. Oh yeah, lots of air coming in there. Alright, I'm gonna go check on our little barrel out there. I'm imagining gotta be close to being ready to cut now. Gotta be. Just got this thing out of the fire. I stood it upside down. Stood it upside down on its end in the fire before I brought it over. It was over there for a good 20 minutes cooking. It's gotta be safe to cut now. So I'm just going to follow this ridge right in the middle all the way around and try and cut the top off here. Also keep the dog out of the way, and I'm just going to freehand it. I got a brand new wheel on the grinder. These are 1/16 inch Mastercraft thin cutoff discs. I really like these. Those 1/8 inch cutoff wheels suck. You got to have the 1/16 inch. These go on sale at Canadian Tire once in a while. You can get them super cheap in like a bulk pack. The only thing you gotta be careful with these is they do break apart, so be extremely careful. Really, you should, I mean, my eyes are protected, I got my safety glasses on, but you should be wearing a face shield. I just keep my head out of the path of the wheel as much as possible. I knew I should have brought my knee pads. All right, I'm gonna keep the dog out of the way. Here we go. Scary process. We did it. So, I'm already thinking my plan from before is probably not going to work because of how the taper on this, how narrow it is up here. You know, what I might do is make this an inner. That would slide inside there. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the best. I don't know. Don't know. Oh, look at that. So that's what we're going to do. I think I can put those plugs in backwards. Yeah, I'll just have to put a few screws in there. But I think that's going to be the tightest seal for us, for sure. Right on. All right, so I got this thing packed, put as tight as I can get it with this perfect dead standing elm. See, it's almost got no bark on the whole thing, and the inside of the wood, although the outside has got a lot of moisture, is actually quite dry. So this is about as good as we could have hoped to find close proximity for what we're gonna do here. We're gonna dump this out, let it all kind of air dry as much as we can, and I'll get the other barrels set up and start gathering some stuff for a fire. But I think we're pretty close to the fun part here, which is a long burn. My puppy's stealing all my birch bark. Andy. There we go. Alright. Don't worry, Dad, I'm gonna sweep all this up later. Okay. So I've got this little guy full right up. I'm going to leave the one plug out just as a vent, and I'm going to flip this upside down still, so there's very, very little air. I might put it in right side up, and while it's burning I'll find a plate or something that I can drop over this hole to seal it off. I'll do it that way because I really want to be able to shut the air down on this as much as possible. And if it's just upside down in the barrel with that open, I feel like it might still burn. So those are my thoughts on that. At least it's got a nice tight fit around the outside there. Don't want to beat it up too much. Just gonna get it to where it's on the top of the logs there. Leave as much or as little empty space in there as possible. I got these little guys here. I'm just gonna zip probably 4 of them in. 4 of them through. Go this way so maybe you guys can see the back of my drill. Self-tappers. Just gotta watch out for the little barbs on the outside here now. Acceptable risk. Acceptable risk, as they would say at the Black Bear Forge. I don't know what your name is, sir. If the gentleman who runs the Black Bear Forge channel ever watches this video, I'll probably figure out your name by then. But I really have enjoyed watching some of your content. You got a lot of good pointers for someone that's interested in getting started here that has basically no experience. You clearly have a lot of experience, and I've really enjoyed watching your videos. Okay, so that is secure now. And I'll figure something out. I'll figure something out to plug that. So instead of just lifting this stupidly into this barrel, what I think I want it sitting right here, up there. I'm gonna take this guy, just slide him in here. See, this is just working, a little bit smarter. Fire him in the bottom. Whoop. Look at that. Fucking genius. Alright. So I get that right in the middle there. As close to it as I can. So this is what we're looking at. You can see down the side there. The birch barks. And we're just going to keep stuffing that full of birch bark, a little more birch bark, and then I'm going to get some fine twigs, stuff all that in there, some pencil-sized stuff. Then we'll light it, let it establish, and then I'll pack it full of hardwood again, and that'll be the main burn. Okay, so I've got lots of fine stuff here, as dry as it gets on a day like today. And I also found a little dead cedar back there, dead standing cedar, that I'll go get in a minute. I'm gonna go get my Sugoi out of the car.
silky. And carve that up. That should help us get this rocking. I'll show you my pile of wet twigs. I'm also getting kind of cold, so it's going to be nice to have a fire here in a second. There you go. Just pretty much flush up to the height of the top of that little barrel. Now I'm going to light those lower holes with the birch bark and cross your fingers. Girl. Come on, you can do it. Oh, yeah. Okay, I gotta check what time it is so I can kind of keep track of the burn here, because it's gonna get hot quick, so I think we're gonna be on track for like a 2 or 3 hour timeline. 5 o'clock, 5 to 5. So that's pretty easy. So that means we'll be here till probably 8. Watch it, girl. Okay. Close to being in focus as I can. I think that's going to take care of itself for a little while here. I'm going to tidy up the shop, go grab a couple beers. I'll turn the camera back on in 20 minutes, half an hour, show you where we're at. Alright, so it is 6:30 now. It's been about an hour and a half. This thing was rolling pretty heavy white smoke out. It still is. Yeah, you can kind of, I hope you can see that coming out of the barrel in the middle, out of the vent. Still pretty thick white smoke. So we're still boiling water off out of the wood. It hasn't entered the stage where it's burning methane off yet. I think it's a little cool. I'm gonna go inside and grab a bite, and I'll come back out here. In about half an hour again, and fill it up with wood if it needs it. See where we're at. Hopefully it's burning off the methane at that point. And yeah, making charcoal. So far so good, I think. Alright, so it is now about 7:30. I just went in for a bite to eat, which I think might have been a bad idea, because I stuffed it full before I went out, but we don't have a complete burn happening here. So I think what's going to happen here, 7:30, I'm going to get some more wood, get this thing rocking again one more time, try and get one. I don't like how the green paint isn't burnt off the barrel here. I feel like this is a cold spot. Try and get one more good heat out of this thing. And then capper. And we'll come back tomorrow and see what we got, I guess. Okay, we're losing light. I've got this thing rocking pretty damn good here one last time. One of these days I'll get a camera that's got a bit of a better autofocus for video work. Yeah, so this thing's just cooking right now. There was still white smoke coming off it when I came out from dinner, coming out of the can, so there's still got to be water coming out. I'm gonna go for a walk just before the sun goes down, grab the rifle, head to the end of the lane here. Quick look for coyotes, since we're out and we're waiting for this to burn, and then I'll come back. It's probably going to be dark by then. I'll tend this down till I can get my hand in there, and as long as it looks like she's done burning and there's no more water coming out and I don't see a flame coming off the vent hole in the top of that can, as long as all those things I just mentioned go perfectly, I'll seal it off and go home. So I'm going to go home, try and crank this out, pump a video out tonight, and then I'll come back out in the morning and show you what the charcoal looks like. So it's going to be a second video for the end result here with our hardwood charcoal project, and from there we're going to move forward to making a forage and hopefully doing a bit of work with it. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully stay tuned for the second part and we see the result of 7-8 hours of work. I've been out here since almost noon, and it's got to be 8 o'clock now. So the result of 7 hours labor and some scrounging. Alright, so we are 8:30 p.m. here. I've been at this for 7.5 hours, and you can see the jet of flame coming out of that little barrel in there now. That is exactly what I want to see. Took a lot of time to get to this point just because everything's so wet and it was such a cold fire to begin with. But we're burning methane off now, and there's going to be some resin coming out of the wood that's probably mostly going to be coated on the lid of the barrel there. But once that flame goes out, we're capping her and letting it cool down, and we'll be back in the morning for our charcoal. That is just a jet right now. That is cool. That's gasification right there. Basically what I've made now is a gasifier, and if you harness that fuel source, you could run even run a vehicle. It's basically like propane. Oh, there she goes out. Back on again. Yeah, it's natural gas, propane. You can run a truck off that. The right modifications. Pretty neat stuff. Okay, I keep ending the video, and then new stuff keeps happening on the burn over there. And I want to update you guys. I don't want to leave you hanging. So the process, I think, is finally complete. That flame jet was coming out for probably only half hour, 45 minutes by the time I noticed it. It finally got really, really hot in there. And when that started going, it just took off. So it started sputtering for 10 minutes intermittently, on and off the flame jet. And then finally it's just stopped. I've let it burn down now till it's basically all just hot coals around the barrel. Everything in there is glowing pretty much red hot. So I'm sure we got a good hot cook on that charcoal. It should be, probably won't be from what I understand, the higher the temperature, the better the charcoal, but the lower the yield, your losses are higher. You lose like 65% of your volume. So if 30 pounds went in there, I might only have 10-ish, 8, something like that, when we open it up tomorrow. Anyways, that's it. I'm going home. I'm gonna go over there and throw a chunk of steel on top of that hole because it's way too hot to get in there for long enough to screw that little cap in. I'm not sticking my whole arm in that barrel. So I'm gonna get a piece of flat wire, throw it on the hole, pack everything up, get out of here, go home, edit this, and I'll see you guys in the morning. Thanks. Check out Black Bear Forge. He's got a lot of good stuff. I got a lot of information from him. And subscribe, like if you want to support the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.